I am so excited about chapter number 4, Car Freeways in the Sky. There is so much in this chapter to go over. The first one is this whole concept of freeways in the sky. And what you have right here in front of you is a map. And it's a map that a pilot would take as they are flying, let's say, for example, from Vancouver, Canada to Japan. And they don't have spots up there in the air. Basically, what they have is that they have little destination points that they're supposed to hit all along the way. So it kind of makes a trail in the sky. Freeways in the sky. Freeways in the sky. Freeways in the sky. So we think about like streets and how they are limited by two-dimensional space. But imagine if you could just stack one on top of the other on top of the other. And that's what they do. Planes take their path from where they take off to where they land. And so Eli kind of is interested in this concept. And so that's something he thinks about in Car. The other thing that he thinks about is, of course, a great car story. I want to tell you about 2 car stories for you. One that scared the dickens out of me and one that was just absolutely incredible. So the one that scared the dickens out of me is I was in the English countryside and someone from the sports car company McLaren offered to give me a ride. He was a former Formula One race car driver, and he said he would give me a ride through the English countryside on a drizzly day. Well, the one thing that you don't want to do is get into the car with a former Formula One race car driver, because they want to prove to you and show you that they still have it. So when he hit the accelerator, it was like getting in the Millennium Falcon going into hyperspace. And I have to tell you, my hands got a little clammy, a little scared. So I was never more happy when I actually finished up in that experience. One experience on a car that I really enjoyed was for my 60th birthday. I rented my dream car, which was a 1957 Porsche 356 sports car. And a Sportster. And I was able to drive around 17-mile drive and just had a great day. It was a beautiful day. And so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started on chapter number 4 of Car Freeways in the Sky. Bounding up the spiral staircase 2 steps at a time, Eli made his way to his bedroom and flopped down onto the familiar twin bed. He gazed at the posters pinned up on his ceiling: midnight black Porsche Boxster, sterling silver Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, and cherry red 1984 Martin Mercurio, which was his dad's car. Grabbing his brown leather-bound sketchbook from the desk next to his bed, Eli became introspective. He nervously clicked on his pen, his mechanical pencil, multiple times until the lead popped up. Then started rapidly drawing sketches mostly. This flying concept intrigued him. As he drew, conflicting thoughts and emotions raced through his mind at 100 miles per hour. Bitterness and resentment for being a D-level priority from his dad. Inspiration from his fish-catching experiment at Old Man Murphy's Pond. And the disappointment in himself from transferring his anger onto his mother. Suddenly, he was reminded of that day that Gene, Earl Murphy's father, had come to class to talk about his career as a commercial airline pilot. He described making the trips over the vast Pacific Ocean to Tokyo, just like I showed you on that map. Mr. Murphy explained that when flying a commercial aircraft over a large body of water like the Pacific Ocean, the air traffic controller and pilot make up coordinates in the sky. places over the ocean where the lines of longitude and the lines of latitude intersect to make imaginary points where no actual landforms exist. The coordinates could have made-up names like Simlu, Marlow, or Lyle. The planes take this exact same route over and over and over again. They're like freeways in the sky. Freeways in the sky. Freeways in the sky. Freeways in the sky. This concept really intrigued Eli. It doesn't matter if the flight is at 2 hours long or 10. No sooner has one plane completed the pathway that another aircraft will take the exact same course eventually and land at the same destination. Eli knew this to be true. He studied the planes landing one after another on the lengthy runway at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, Illinois. The words freeway in the sky repeated and rolled over and over in his mind. What if there actually were invisible freeways in the air, one stacked above the other? The vehicles could travel and not be bound by the law of gravity or traffic signals, but layered based on airspace. There would be no more rush hour traffic. Everyone would spend less time in their cars. Free to live their lives, parents could spend more time with their kids. One last scene appeared in Eli's mind. The setting was a corner office overlooking downtown Detroit. A tired-looking corporate executive, Eli's dad, Michael Martin, slowly took off his square black horn-rimmed spectacles, just like these, set them on the table, and slowly slid his hands over his salt and pepper hair. He loosened his tie, crossed his arms atop the large walnut desk, and proceeded to fall fast asleep. Just then, Eli's breathing fell into perfect cadence with that of his father's. A few hours later, Eli's mom slowly shuffled upstairs to check in on her son. She saw that he had fallen fast asleep with the sketchbook perched on his chest like a teepee. How many of you ever fallen asleep with your book across your chest like a teepee? She gently moved the book and placed the drawings on the nearby nightstand, then slipped Eli's covers over his shoulders. Pulling down the bedroom window shade, she paused to admire the countless stars that were out shining in the night sky, blazing against the jet black backdrop like millions of candles on an oversized birthday cake. Then walked toward the door and flipped off the light. As soon as the room faded to black, Eli turned over and quietly mumbled, "Night, Mom." "Sweet dreams, Eli," she responded. Unfortunately, that would not be the case. Have you ever had a bad dream or a nightmare? Well, this kind of dream is going to happen to Eli. Eli tossed and turned that night, finally gasping and lapsing into a dream. He watched in amazement as a dazzling white ghost who looked remarkably like his father slipped into the room through the polished chrome keyhole of the closed door. Eli saw him floating about a foot above the floor in a vapor-like state. Dad, what are you doing here?" Eli said, rubbing his eyes. With a curling index finger, the smiling phantom beckoned Eli to follow him. Rubbing his eyes again, Eli dutifully got out of his bed. By now, the ghost had left the bedroom and was floating down the corridor at a rapid pace. Eli followed, but the harder he tried to close ground between them, the farther away his father seemed to get. The two kept their pursuit down the seemingly endless tunnel of rooms and doors at Martin Manor. Eli finally closed in, and he decided to fully commit to catching the ghost. Grasping, jumping headfirst toward it, he grasped at the floating white vapor. But just as his outstretched arms went through the apparition and grabbed at the material, the ghost completely vanished. Like that. Eli crashed down, thump, on the hardwood floors, and then woke up in a cold sweat. Puzzling over his nocturnal vision, he felt like a storm chaser trying to catch a twirling tornado. He knew one thing for certain. It was going to be a long night. In the morning, light poured into Eli's bedroom through the opening of his partially drawn curtains. His mom came in with a bundle of perfectly folded white clothes. She nudged Eli, who was buried in a pile of pillows, and placed the bundle on the corner of his bed. Eli, time to wake up. You have a big baseball game in the morning.